Hello and welcome everybody to the First Round Fantasy Football Podcast, your home for second round advice. It is still very hot here in Northern California. I hope it is lovely wherever you guys are listening from today. We are so happy you can join us. As always, I'm your host. Well, not as always. Sorry, Jacob. Today, I'm your host, Gabriel Miramontes, and I'm joined today by Jacob Bartley, DeMont Ricks, and Joseph Morsaz. And if you haven't noticed, if you're watching YouTube, as we welcome you all in, Jacob, go ahead and show them, but I'll show you mine first. The merch has arrived. The merch has arrived. First Round Fantasy merch. Feel free to look at the link at the bottom of the video. Oh my goodness. We also do DJing on the side. Optical
It's freaking out. They can go to TeePublic.
TeePublic.com. Search First Round Fantasy. We'll be sure to link it at the bottom of the video. Guys, how are we doing today? It is a Sunday right here. We'll probably be releasing this tomorrow, but it's Sunday. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Here's the t-shirts. There's what they look like.
Oh my gosh. We promise we've done this before, people.
There we go.
They look
good. Still learning. But Gabe, I love your intros, man. It sounds like a morning talk show. It's like it's 88 degrees here in Los Angeles. Like it's awesome.
I have a BS in
life.
Meteorology. Oh my gosh. Meteorology. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Damon, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just recovering from a alcohol bender yesterday.
Damon was late to the podcast today. He told us he took a long nap. So
one of those sweaty ones.
Oh, those are the worst.
Yeah, those are the best.
No, man.
No, you slept good.
I wake up from a sweaty nap and I just instantly feel like I need to take a shower, and I feel like someone touched me, and I don't like it. It just feels uncomfortable.
I avoid it.
Joe, what about you? How you feeling today, man?
It's good, man. It's hot as balls, like you guys said, and I'm ready to jump in the pool after this.
Oh, dude. Yes.
Yeah.
Like with your clothes on?
Either way.
Not with my First Round Fantasy merch on, dude. I got to keep it fresh. Jacob said if you ever do have a shirt or the pleasure of buying one of our shirts, techniques from Jacob, we'll start labeling them. Techniques from Jacob.
Washing techniques. Yeah, wash it inside out, on cold. Don't dry it all the way. There you go.
There we go. All right, guys. We are doing the AFC East preview today. There's a lot of fantasy talent to get through. But before we do, we're going to cover over a brief bit of news here. And our first one is, hey, thank you so much for showing up to our live stream the other day of our first ever First Round Fantasy up and coming Podcasters Fantasy League. It's so long. Oh my gosh. But thank you for everybody who came out and contributed and helped us out. Our team looks sexy. What do you guys think?
It does.
Team's nasty.
Nasty in a good way, right? I mean, the young people don't know what that means, or our older audience might not understand the lingo. I mean,
nasty in a good way.
Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers at QB. Oh my gosh. Tyler Lockett, Stephon Diggs, and a plethora of rookies who one of them is sure to have a hot hand this year. Saquon Barkley and Aaron Jones, Darren Waller, James Conner, Phillip Lindsay, just to name a few. Oh my God. It's amazing.
How good it was.
Yeah, I know, right?
It is easy to forget, yes.
And this was a 12-man team.
We're going to play the whole year without a kicker and still win.
Yes, we did not take a kicker in the draft. But
I don't want to drop Ayuk.
Dude, hey, you know what? I mean, that could be our first bit of news, guys. Actually, let's just go ahead and touch on that briefly. So we talked about it last week. Deebo Samuel expected to miss some time to start the season. And I just read a beat reporter article saying that Brandon Ayuk is one of the shining stars of camp and looks to push for that wide receiver 2 role to start the year as a starter. I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago in that we don't know if we necessarily want to touch these wide receivers. But, I mean, when you look at how good their offense is, it's just like, do you want to take a chance on a rookie like that? I mean, especially because he's a late-round plug-in, right? I think I would take a shot at Brandon Ayuk, right? Would you guys?
I like him. And not just because I'm a Niners fan. Like, I'm not going to take him in the first.
I like him too, but I wouldn't take
Yeah, I'm not going to take him in the first 8 rounds or anything like that, but I'll take him as a flyer, and I'm definitely eyeing him in dynasty leagues.
That is a fair assessment. You know, my
Yeah.
biggest fear for all those receivers in San Francisco is Jimmy Garoppolo. And then I read the statistic today that Jimmy G is in top 5 in 3 categories. Oh my gosh, and I forgot what they were. So I'll be sure to mention them when we go over our what is it? What division do they play in? The NFC West in a couple of weeks. But I did just make an Instagram post about it, so feel free to read it there. Anyways, moving on. Sad news. I wish we could play a little violin. Darius Geis released by Washington following abuse allegations. I mean, given this guy's career, 2 injuries to start off his freshman and sophomore campaigns, and now this. Is this the last we see of Darius Geis?
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah, he's done. I mean, we've never seen Ray Rice, so.
Teams will take a chance on domestic violence, on players who have a history of domestic violence, if they're good enough to warrant it. He hasn't proved anything yet. No team's going to take that hit right now with everything going on, especially. He's done. I don't think he's ever going to play in the NFL again.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I don't feel bad for him. I mean, considering what he did, but it's just kind of sad. Like, people make those choices. Does this give any clarity to the running back field in Washington? I mean, you have Adrian Peterson, the rookie Antonio Gibson, last year's draft pick Bryce Love. It's like, oh my gosh, what do you make of it? I don't think I want to touch that backfield to start the year. And if I
wasn't
do,
going to touch it. I wasn't going to touch it at all before this, but now I actually like Antonio Gibson. They like him a lot. I was reading some like local Washington articles and stuff about him, and if I were to draft any of them, it would be him for sure, even in redraft. But I'm still not excited about it.
Someone said that they're saying CMC comparisons out of Washington.
From Antonio Gibson, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn.
I've heard the same things.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as
anybody, it's him, but
yeah, as much as we want to bash Dwayne Haskins and like the ability for Terry McLaurin to have a successful year, you can't help but find happiness in youth, right? I mean, their team is young and they can grow and develop together. I mean, exciting things to say the least. But we're moving on because we have a whole show dedicated to that division. And today we're talking about the AFC East, and we're going to jump right into it, starting with, do you guys want to pick? Who do you want to talk about first?
Oh, the Bills. I have it in order. If you read the show notes, Gabe.
It was going to be a fun game. Okay.
No.
We're talking about the Buffalo Bills first. A team last year in NFL purposes, I mean, very successful, made it to the playoffs. Fantasy-wise, they add Stephon Diggs, who we are very mixed about here on the first-round fantasy team. It's okay.
There we go. This is why I said we need to go in order, but then I go and screw it up. But here we go.
It brings me some news, but I'll add it to the end of the show. So let's look at Stephon Diggs here. First player that I can think of. We can even chime in John Brown throughout the show as well, throughout this part as well. I mean, we recently had a discussion about him a couple of weeks ago. I put up a poll on Instagram. Thank you to the 36 people who voted. And the poll was, is Stephon Diggs going to finish as a top 15 wide receiver this year? I'm sorry, guys, because I was the one on the no side. 79% of people said no, that Stephon Diggs will not finish as a wide receiver 15. Wow. We look at John Brown's success last year, right, before Stephon Diggs entered the league. John Brown finished as the wide receiver 19 last year. Now, it's easy to say that Stephon Diggs is an upgrade from John Brown's. Therefore, he can put up better numbers. But I just don't see it. Convince me, guys. Convince me what you all see.
Diggs is a superstar talent and a superstar player. And we've seen him explode. Last year, he was on a streak that was crazy. And he always, I would say he does have some inconsistency a lot, but when he's exploding. He's a guy who can win you weeks because he's going to go off for 35. And I believe, in my opinion, he's in a better situation now, if not equal, better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Diggs thrives with quarterbacks. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. He was in a lot of run-heavy teams, and he still produced 1,000-yard seasons. John Brown just had 1,060 yards last year, and I think Diggs is a better route runner, which is good for somebody like Allen, a security blanket, somebody that you can throw to 3rd and 12 and get the ball.
Yeah.
So I think that he's just a superior talent, and he's gonna not only be better for fantasy, but like a football player.
Yeah, absolutely. Gabe, I've got some stats up over here.
Oh, I love stats. Let's hear
for our
them.
boy Josh Allen. Okay, year 1, 12 games, 2,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Not very good. Year 2, 16 games, upped his completion percentage from 52 to 58, threw up 3,100 yards, just about 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That is a huge jump. He's 24 years old. This is his 3rd year in the league. He's going to do it again, and now he's got better receivers to back him up. Another thing about Stephon Diggs is look at the talent around him in Buffalo. Okay, you've got a bunch of guys not necessarily known to be huge end zone threats, right? Cole Beasley's nice in the slot, or, he's a quick, fast guy, but he's not a big dude. Neither is John Brown, neither is Devin Singletary. So he's going to be the number 1 end zone threat, where in Minnesota, you had Dalvin Cook, you had Thielen, you had Kyle Rudolph, who is always involved in the red zone. So I'm expecting Stephon Diggs to get involved in the red zone this year even more and be Josh Allen's trusty go-to. So we'll see what happens, but I like our bucket, and I'm still stuck on him being a top 15.
I mean, you bring up all good points, and all of you guys do. I just don't know. And you know what? In my defense, I tried to look up some stats too, just prove my point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't that good. I love Josh Allen this year. I loved him last year. You guys know it. I've always loved him since he was a rookie. The only thing that comes to mind when I do take a look at Allen is Diggs comes from a quarterback who had a 70% completion percentage last year, whereas Allen threw for 57% completion percentage last year. He's not as accurate. I know Diggs likes to stretch the field, and there's all this fuss out there about Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen and who has the bigger arm and can throw the farthest. Sure, I love a guy who can throw downfield, but I also love a guy who can hit his target and not miss a broadside of the barn if he has the chance to. And I just don't know it. I like Allen because of his running capability. And I like Allen because he rushes 4 touchdowns near the goal line. I don't necessarily like him because of his arm. But like you said, Joe, there's nothing he can do to digress. He can only improve. So I hope that he does, because I have him as a QB well inside the top 10 QBs this year. So it's just a matter if he can suffice and make better Stephon Diggs, which you guys say you can. So I want to see it. Plus, he's on our fantasy team, so I want him to have a good season. Right?
You want him to be number 16 receiver on the year, basically.
I want him to be the number 16 receiver on the year. Exactly. Do you guys have any? Go ahead, Joe.
He's got targets now, so we'll see how that completion percentage jumps. He's already went up 6% from the first to the second year, and now he's got weapons. I mean, that is Singletary, Diggs, Brown, Beasley, Knox. That's pieces. So there's always going to be an open guy on the field, where in years past he didn't have much to throw to. So I'm expecting him to be 65% this year, and I think that's good enough for Diggs.
Yeah, that's a really fair assessment. And back to Diggs a little bit. He finished as a wide receiver 23 last year, 63 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 6 TDs. Do not count John Brown out. He finished as the wide receiver 19 last year. He had 10 more receptions than Diggs and 1 more touchdown. I'm not saying that I would take John Brown over Diggs. I think if the value is there, I would love to have Diggs on my team. However, I mean, John Brown late as a wide receiver 2 or a high-end flex play, I would consider it. I mean, I would hope Josh Allen would improve enough to support 2 wide receivers. What do you think? Would you take John Brown?
John Brown is so underrated, and he's not a sexy name. Like, a lot of people don't talk about him, or you offer him in a trade, people are not enticed.
He's a throw-in.
I just think he is undervalued, and that's good for people who do value him because you can take him in the late rounds, get him in a trade for less than what you would really have to pay for. So I like him.
Yeah, right
What
now,
round did we
Stephon,
get Diggs?
we got Diggs in the 7th round, and guess what his ADP is? The 7th round.
Okay.
So
Wow. I'm
he's
kinda
going at the
surprised.
702
Late.
compared to John Brown. John Brown is going in the 15th round. So, I mean, good value there for both, I think, especially if you guys see the upside in Diggs, which, you know what? You're starting to convince me. I feel a little bit more comfortable with him on our
3
team.
running backs, right? So we did pretty well on our receivers going 3 running backs, and in my opinion,
Yeah, he was the best upside option at the time.
That is a fair assessment. That is a fair assessment. Well, it's safe to say that no matter what, Stephon Diggs should be on your roster given his value. Let's move on now to Devin Singletary, ADP currently in the 5th round. He had 151 rushes last year for 775 yards and 2 TDs. That was 5.1 yards per carry. That is excellent. However, he only played in 12 games. He was a little injury riddled throughout the season. He didn't see a lot of goal line work, mostly in part to being poached by Josh Allen. Is he someone, Jacob, let's hear from you first, because in one of our leagues, you are actively trying to trade our man, Devin Singletary. Do you see his demise?
So I really like Devin Singletary. The thing is, whenever they bring in a rookie, there is a little part of you that's questioning why they do that. But these teams aren't worried about, they're not just going to have one star running back and then have nobody else. They need backups for injury. They want to play 2 or 3 guys throughout the game, maybe even 4 guys. So I'm not too worried about Zach Moss, but I love him as a handcuff though. So the reason for me, it's like, and I explained this to you, Gabe, is that's a keeper league, right? And I don't necessarily want to trade my top guys, but if I try to trade my bottom guys, I'm not going to get as much value. So I think Devin Singletary has a lot of value for me to trade away people who need a running back, people who want to get a young running back. And I think I can get good value for him. If I try to trade my 6th keeper who's a wide receiver, nobody wants that right now. But people want a young stud running back in a keeper league. So that's why I'm trying to trade him, not because I devalue him. It's actually because I value him. I'm scared a little bit. Like I think he has potential to be somewhere in the 10 to 12 range, but he also has the potential his floor is low, but his ceiling's high. So I think he's a risk depending on where you take him, but I still like him a lot.
I'll give you a first for him.
Wow, really?
How many firsts do you have?
He has one from me, number 10, for the Godwin trade.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I had 2.
So that's the thing. Like, people don't care about our personal leagues that much, but we were texting in the group chat, and I knew DeMont was at work. I was like, he's not going to see this, but DeMont, I'll text you personally, and we'll talk about it.
All right.
Guys, the worry of Singletary, I think, is he's just not a huge back, right? He's kind of a little dude, and you go get Zach Moss kind of signals to me, and obviously, like Jacob said, you're going to have multiple backs, but I don't think that this is going to end up being a solid backfield from a fantasy perspective. I think we're going to see something like the Bears that we have in the past, where you have Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen. And Tariq Cohen might have a big game where he gets 6, 7, 8 catches and he busts out for a couple big gains. And we also may see some games where Zach Moss gets 2 touchdowns on the goal line and he takes that big game away. So I think you need to have both. And it's one of those situations to monitor. I'm not sure a 5th rounder for Devin Singletary, that he's got potential. He catches the ball. He makes big plays happen. So I can understand it. Starting running backs, you can't get enough of them. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm a little bit wary about him. I like him, but I'm not taking him in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. His ADP's is light. That's kind of where he needs to go.
What is his ADP? Do we know? Did Gabe already say it?
Currently going in the 5th round.
Oh, damn.
I take him in the
4th, 3rd, 4th pick range.
Damn, that's pretty high.
I hope he becomes regular, right? I think that's what we want to see from him.
Yeah.
But I'm looking more at Tariq Cohen.
Well, it's like you said, Joe. As far as we know, he's the guy. He's the guy, and there's not 10 teams you can say that's the guy. There's a guy there that's who's going to be the starting running back. So he's valuable.
He's definitely valuable. And, Frank Gore departs. He leaves 166 rushing attempts available. I do not think Zach Moss is going to see all of those 166 rushes. So I expect Devin Singletary to see an uptake in carries. I don't think he gets to the 200 carry range, which puts him in like workhorse territory. But, I mean, that's really high flex value. And if we're all high on Diggs and we all expect Josh Allen to get better, that just means the team overall is going to get better. And they have such a great defense. I mean, really exciting things coming from the Buffalo Bills. And I think Devin Singletary is a direct result of that. So I like him as well. So, but what I heard though, who's willing to stretch on a 5th round pick for him? Where you guys know? Yeah, no.
Oh, I would take him in the 5th round.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd take him in the 4th.
If let's say hypothetically I go wide receiver heavy, I have 2 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds, and then maybe I have a running back and a tight end. I definitely would take a Singletary guy in the 5th round, maybe even the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing. 2 running backs and then 2 wide receivers. If he's there in the 5th round, I'd probably take him as well as my flex player. Last but not least, let's talk about Josh Allen. We are so
we
high
kind
on
of
him,
covered
right?
him.
We kind of covered him. He
Yeah.
finished as a QB5 last year. I mean, I think he's a QB worth owning in all leagues because of his running prowess. And he's improved, like Joe said, in every statistical category over his freshman and sophomore year. So we expect to see those go up again. He did, however, finish 21st in pass attempts. That's kind of middle of the road in terms of like fantasy QB stars. But he was so successful because he was able to add his rushing prowess to his pedigree, right? I mean, I think he's still locked in as a QB5 this year. That's for sure. I mean, he finished as the QB5 this year. So I see him as a top 5 quarterback again if he's going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We agree. And his value is tremendous. I mean, he's going in the 10th
Was he
round.
really number 5?
He was number 5.
Oh,
and
wow.
then
That-
Kyler
I didn't-
Murray at
Rushing.
I would not have guessed that. Yeah, that's true. It is the rushing. It is the rushing. I like Josh Allen. I feel comfortable. He's a guy that, so once the main guys are gone, he's a guy you feel comfortable getting if you wait on quarterback.
Yeah, he added 500 yards rushing on the ground last year, and 9 TDs rushing. So that's incredible for a QB.
And now he gets a legit number 1 wide receiver.
Is Cole Beasley getting any love, or we not drafting?
Full PPR? I mean, he could probably catch like 3 or 4 passes, 5 passes a game.
Yeah.
He had a solid season last year.
He's decent, but I'm not sure that you ever go into a week where you say, I don't have a better option. And if
Nah.
you're probably not playing
Our
for the
boy Gio is going to be starting him as a wide receiver 2. Watch. You'll see.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
And Josh Allen, they have him, I'm looking at Fantasy Pros, they have him as QB7. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Dak, Watson, Allen. I like him there, right in front of Ryan and Breeze and Rodgers, and behind the rest of those guys I named. I think that's
perfect.
I'd rather have Allen over Watson.
I think so too. Yeah, but
This year,
That's a good point, Damon.
this year, yeah.
Yeah, he is a rising star. He's a rising star in this league for sure. And I think he is definitely worth having on your fantasy team. We are moving down south to Miami. Has anyone ever been to Miami?
No.
I just feel like nothing good happens in Florida. So that explains why the Dolphins have been bad for so many years. But I don't know, right? Yeah. Anyways, now looking at the Miami Dolphins, starting off with the running back tandem, both incoming newcomers to the team, Jordan Howard and Matt Breida. What do you guys make of it? Not even gut decision. Let's hear what we have to say first. If you guys want, I'd love to talk about some Jordan Howard. He is a guy I think is great. He did. So I guess I'll start us off. So Jordan Howard saw his lowest carry count last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. That was 119 carries. Of course, he was part of a committee, right? And he wasn't really good for fantasy. If we could just reminisce on what could have been, right? Coming in as a rookie in 2016, Jordan Howard finished as an RB1. In 2017, Jordan Howard finished as an RB1. In 2018, Jordan Howard finished as a solid RB2. All of those years, he saw 250 carries or more. So 2019 is an outlier. You insert Matt Breida and him into that offense. I like Matt Breida as a change of pace, pass catching, third down back type of thing. But I definitely see Jordan Howard taking all of that goal line work, first and second down work, and I can easily see him getting 250 carries again this year. So to start, I'd rather have Jordan Howard. What about you guys?
I'm taking Matt Breida pretty easily for myself. And I'm going to tell you my opinion on Jordan Howard. I've never been a huge fan, but and you made some good points, right? Season 1, RB1, season 2. But look at a little bit deeper into those stats. He regressed every year, those first 3 years. And I think what we saw in 2019 is where he's going to ultimately settle down to be the best position for him. If you look at year 1, 5.2 yards per carry. He had 250 yards, 1,300, or 250 carries, 1,300 yards. Then next year, he gets an increased 25 carries, but he goes down 200 yards. He goes down to 4.1 yards per attention. Then 2018, he goes down to 3.7 yards an attempt. And he has 250 carries, but he's 935 yards. So it's kind of – he's going in the wrong direction, right? Yeah, he put up the numbers, but if you give any running back in this league 250 carries, they're going to make something happen. It's what do you do with those carries? Does that make you valuable? And I watched Breida as a Niners fan. He wasn't my favorite guy. I love Mostert a lot more, but he's explosive. He's had injury problems, but he's explosive. And I think talent is going to win out, and he's going to get the starting spot. And they're going to be in a committee all year, though. And I think actually both of them may have some fantasy value as flex plays.
Yeah, I agree with Joe with the regression. And if you look at the receiving, every year, same thing. It went down from 29 to last year it was 10. And I think to be a great, like a flex play, I'd rather have a back that has a chance of catching 10 balls in a PPR league versus throwing a Jordan Howard in there. That's just going to – you got to hope he gets the carries because that's the only way he'll get points.
And hope that he gets a touchdown, because if he's not giving you a touchdown, what's his ceiling? If he doesn't get you a touchdown, he gets one catch, and if that, and then what? He has to get you 100 yards, and you're still walking out with a 10-point game.
He's definitely touchdown dependent. Look at those couple games last year where he had like 30 points. He had like 3 touchdowns in some of those games. So for me, this is all about game flow. So the Dolphins are not going to be winning a lot of games or even be competing in a lot of games. They're going to be playing from behind a lot or be in shootouts with other bad teams. So for me, if Fitzpatrick or if they bring in Tua, they're going to be throwing a lot. And that's why I love the receivers, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. But that's why I also value Breida a little bit more. I think Breida's being undervalued here. Look, Breida doesn't have the body type to be a workhorse back, but he has the skill set to be. I know you guys probably know this, but he was number 5 in yards per carry last year. He was 5.1 yards per carry. He's 3 consecutive years in the top 10 for yards per carry. When he runs, he's a great runner, and he can catch balls. So I think it's going to be a committee, but I like both of these guys as options in my flex or just like my best running backs on my bench. But I'd take Breida slightly over Howard.
Yeah.
And one thing to note, it probably is a good idea to try to grab both these guys in late rounds. Oh, yeah. Because if one of them gets injured, I like the other one a lot more. They become solid, if not RB2, especially in Breida's case, in my opinion, just because, like Damon said, he's catching balls and Howard's not. The Dolphins actually are of extreme interest to me because my girlfriend's entire family, guys, is Dolphins fans.
Oh, so wow.
I talk about the Dolphins probably more than anybody I know. And I constantly hear how Tua's the next Montana, but
you guys have done a great job of you guys are like 2 for 2 today in convincing me otherwise. First off, Joe, I agree with you in that, yes, the stats clearly show that Jordan Howard has digressed. I do think a big part of that, though, is the integration of Matt Nagy's system, in which Jordan Howard is a bruising in between the tackles type of runner. Then comes Matt Nagy, the Houdini that he is of not being able to do anything sending Howard to the outside multiple times a game to find no success. I just don't think he was that type of runner.
Yeah.
Jacob, you mentioned that he goes to the Eagles. He does have some boomer bust games there. I do think he very much is team dependent. And Jacob, you brought up another good point where I don't think that Miami Dolphins are going to be a team that is playing with the lead a lot. The lead a lot. They're going to be constantly catching up. Means throwing the ball. Means Matt Breida is going to be in there more. So I like what you guys have to say. Given that they are both going in the 9th round, Jordan Howard going a few picks before Matt Breida, you guys would all very much have Matthew Breida instead of Jordan Howard, correct?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
That is a fair assumption. I don't want to go to book it down territory because, like I said, you guys just freaking you guys made it sound sexy to have Matt Breida. Now I'm nervous. I guess we'll have to see what the season brings. Moving on though to what Jacob was hoping we would talk about next, the wide receiver pool. And I don't know if you guys know this, but if you've been following up with the news, I would have put this in the show notes, but I figured we'd just talk about it here since we were talking about them today. Both Albert Wilson and Allen Hurns, wide receivers for the Miami Dolphins, have opted out of the 2020 season due to COVID-19 concerns, which makes it all the more tantalizing to pick up someone like Devontae Parker or Preston Williams. What are you guys thinking?
I love me some Devontae Parker, but my God, has that guy bit me one too many times. And I know Jacob knows for sure. I've been high on him for a long time.
Hey, he never had a year like last year, though.
No, never.
He never did. And I think that was hopefully something to build on. I like him in Preston. I think Fitzpatrick is a guy that we know he might not win a lot of games, but he puts up yards. And Tua also is kind of projected to jump in there at some point, and I think he's got a good enough arm to get both those guys involved. I was going to lead to this that I am pretty high on Devontae Parker, and I'm hoping I don't get bit again. So, yeah, I would what's his ADP, Gabe? Do we know?
Devontae Parker's going in the 7th round, early 7th round.
Okay.
So right there, like with Stephon Diggs, I think that's pretty fair. Both
Who would you guys rather have, Stephon Diggs or Devontae Parker?
I'll still take Diggs.
Yeah.
I'll still take Diggs, but it's like not far off, not too far off.
Damon?
Parker.
Wow.
Damn.
Joe?
I'm taking Diggs as well, but I think like Jacob said, it's not far off. Parker, it would not surprise me in the least that he has a bigger year because Dolphins are going to be playing down, the Bills are going to be playing up, and that gives Parker more of an opportunity to get some of those big bombs and make weeks.
Yeah, he finished 11th last year, so I think he might be able to sneak into the top 10.
He did have a really great fantasy year this year, but I'm here to shatter your dreams again and shake up the show because I'm telling you right now, I don't want either Stephon Diggs or Devontae Parker. I'd rather have Preston Williams in round 15. He's the guy I'm excited about.
Oh, yeah. Sleeper of all sleepers, man.
Unfortunately, he did have the ACL injury last year, which cut his season short. But, oh, my God. Look at his highlight reel. I mean, you have Fitzpatrick there who just literally doesn't care anymore. He throws the ball every single chance he can, which is good for both Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. It doesn't mean that it's always accurate. So the circus catches that this guy is able to pull in is just amazing. So the talent there, if he could catch a clean throw, watch out because he's tearing up the rest of the field. But that's not to say, obviously, let me back up a little bit. Devontae Parker and Stephon Diggs are both good given their value. I just think if you're doing some crazy things in draft, Preston Williams is a great late round value. What do you guys think, though? I mean, Joe, you had just mentioned Tua and how the in-laws think that Tua is the second coming of a great quarterback that we have once come to know, or that we once did know. But I don't think necessarily he's looking to start the season, especially in a shortened offseason. Fitzpatrick is going to start. And I think it's reasonable to say if Fitzpatrick is the quarterback, I like Devontae Parker and Preston Williams more. Whereas if he comes in late in the season and Tua comes in later in the season, I think I'd be looking to trade those guys right away. I'm not going to say that Tua is going to have a bad opening campaign by any means. I just think that a football team is run differently when you are nurturing a young QB in his first year coming off a tremendous injury.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to take those risks, which is why I'll also bring up Mike Gesicki. If he is around when Tua comes in to start the season, or when Tua comes in sometime in the season, I think he is a direct
beneficiary.
Thank you for the terminology. I think he is a direct beneficiary of that. But do you guys have any thoughts about Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua with Devontae Parker and Preston Williams?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that Tua is going to get a shot. I say maybe like week 4 after they go 0-4. They're going to obviously shorten the playbook for Tua as well. So you're right. All the plays that for Parker and Preston Williams will get cut, and they'll look for more short tight end routes. So Gesicki would be a good late round pick.
And Matt Breida.
Yeah, Breida.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good options there. Oh, sorry. Someone going to say something?
No. It's unfortunate. Tua's going to play. And it's unfortunate because the Dolphins actually, I think, are better than a lot of people are giving them credit for.
They started playing well at the end of last year.
They certainly did.
Maybe this is brainwashing from my in-laws, like you said.
But they did, dude. I watched some of their games. They really did.
I had Preston and Devontae in the keeper league. In the
Dynasty. You have them both in the Dynasty league.
Yeah. Preston Williams was actually, it was so funny. Last summer, my girlfriend's dad comes up to me, Preston Williams. I'm like, who? He's like, Preston Williams. I'm telling you, watch out for this guy. He's 6'5". He's going to be catching bombs all year. Dude, what are you talking about? I never heard of this guy. He's like, trust me, undrafted, he's going to blow up. Probably like week 8 or something, I take over that Dynasty league, and I'm dropping old man Rivers over here.
I don't know what people were thinking. Both of them were on the waiver wire, Parker and Preston Williams.
And it's just unfortunate that their schedule's really tough. They got Patriots, the Bills, the Jaguars, the Seahawks, the Niners. I think they might beat the Jaguars, but they're going to go 1-4. And Tua's going to – I don't think they're going to put Tua in until after they play the Niners, because the worst thing that you can do is put a rookie up against the best defense or top 5 defense in the league and let him get eaten alive and crush his confidence. But it makes sense. The next week they go play the Broncos, which is a very winnable game. You throw him in there, and then they have the Broncos, the Chargers, the Rams. And I think that's a great spot for him to come in, and 3 winnable games at least. And so I'm predicting after week 5, so week 6, Tua is going to be starting. I'm not sure that hurts those guys that much, but it doesn't help them. I like Fitzpatrick better as the quarterback as well.
So my sleeper, and this, we're on a podcast, right? So I'm going to share my great knowledge with you guys. My sleeper tight end of the year is Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki is the shit, bro. He's gonna blow up. I honestly think so. Not saying he's gonna be top 5 tight end, but I think he's gonna be consistent top 10 for most of the year.
Jacob, I like the sound of that, especially with when you insert Tua into that offense. I think he gets even more of a bump than that. And
he's a beast too, physically.
Yeah, we are all in agreement that Tua at some point will come into the season. How would you guys consider trading Devontae Parker or Preston Williams if they get off to hot starts, and then let's say Tua comes in week 6, 7, or 8? Are you guys looking to trade him before fantasy deadline?
If DeMont will give me Stephon Diggs, I'll do it today.
He has Diggs in that league, so
we'll talk.
Oh, you do. Yeah. It depends. Like, I don't know. It really depends, because probably in a redraft league, yeah. But if it's a keeper or a dynasty, probably not, because they're probably still going to be really good when Tua gets it together. So it depends.
That is very much true. This team is a team like the Buffalo Bills that we mentioned before. They're a little further behind, but definitely a team that is building for the future. And I love the addition of Tua, and I would love to see his development along the way as well. And Mike Gesicki was a top 12 tight end last year. I think Jacob is right. He definitely cracks the top 10 this year with his consistency. Anyone else? Did I forget anyone? Moving on to everybody's
talk most of the
favorite
fantasy relevant
team.
players.
This is not America's. This is America's favorite team. You know, you always hear the Dallas Cowboys, America's favorite team. That's not true. This is America's favorite team, the New England Patriots.
Oh,
Womp, womp, womp.
Man.
Cam Newton listed as number 1 on the depth chart. Is that official?
Wait, what did you
well,
say, Joe?
Who is?
So
Cam Newton.
So these depth charts are from ESPN.com. I don't think they're not from the team websites.
Yeah.
So but they get as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
But I have been saying Cam Newton's going to be the starter in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
I
would
am
agree
waiting
with that.
to announce it to make it real, guys.
Mhm.
It's the Patriots, but not.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer spent some time with the Pats, and I kind of thought, Belichick might go with someone he knows and show, hey, Brady, it's not you, it's my system. And Hoyer knows the system. So that's good to see, though. Newton's far superior talent.
Yeah, so I guess we can start there, guys, because I think the success of this team, as we've talked about before, doesn't really depend on the quarterback play, even though Tom Brady was great for so many years. This is Bill Belichick's team, as Joe mentioned last week. Insert Cam Newton, say goodbye to Tom Brady. It's a new era here. However, there are still some of the same old role players that are hanging around, including, let's start with our wide receivers, Julian Edelman. What are we thinking about Julian Edelman this year?
I don't like him. I don't really like him because I feel like Tom Brady looked for him a lot, and Cam usually makes like one read only, and so if the play's not designed for Edelman, he won't get the ball.
Yeah, that is a good point. And honestly, the reason why I say this is because it's a perfect transition into my probably sleeper of the year in N'Keal Harry. The guy is virtually going undrafted right now as the wide receiver, or in the 15th round, basically the start of the 16th round. And this is clearly speculation, but Cam Newton needs to establish a connection with someone other than probably James White, which we are all pretty likely he will have to start the year. But he's got to have a connection with one of these two wide receivers. And I love the upside of N'Keal Harry. Given his value, Edelman is going currently in the 8th round. I think there are better options there. And we might even do some keep trade cut in a second here. But what do you guys think about N'Keal Harry? He didn't play much last year. He only played in, I think, 6 or 7 games, and he was not utilized very much. But is it his time to shine?
Yeah, he was injured to start the year.
He was injured most of the year.
I think Edelman's going to be solid. I think he's draftable, obviously. I think he's going to be a decent flex play, but he's not going to be one of your starting wide receivers, I don't think. But I do think Edelman's still going to be solid, especially in PPR. It's N'Keal Harry, and he's I don't know, man. I never know with freaking Belichick, dude. It's if N'Keal Harry was on any other team, they would be grooming him to be their future wide receiver. But I don't know with Belichick, and I think Sanu is actually going to provide some value there too.
Absolutely.
So who knows?
Yeah, those are good points. And I mentioned keep trade cut. So like last week, I'll give each of you guys an option pertaining to Julian Edelman, and we'll see what you guys do. All of these guys are going virtually around the same place in drafts. Joe, I'll start with you. Julian Edelman or Brandon Cooks?
Edelman.
Ooh, very nice. Damon, Julian Edelman or Jarvis Landry?
Edelman.
Very good. And last but not least, Jacob, Julian Edelman or Michael Gallup?
Damn. That's so tough. If there was no CD Lamb, I would say Gallup hands down. But I'm still gonna I'm gonna go Edelman.
What about you guys? That seems to be the toughest one. Edelman there too?
Yeah.
So
I go Gallup.
Oh, Gallup in that situation? All right, awesome. Well, it seems like even though, except with that outlier, Julian Edelman is still someone worthy of an 8th round pick, considering those are the wide receivers that are going around him. I just don't necessarily think I like him that much this year. Jacob had mentioned it. He was so dependent, or I think Damon did, so dependent on Tom Brady, and Tom Brady depended on him as well. But there's change a brewing, right? And that's Cam Newton. So with that being said, I love the value of N'Keal Harry. However, this is strictly speculation. As far as Edelman is concerned, though, if he's there, you guys are picking him up, right?
Guys, I think you might have gone a little far the opposite way. I came in thinking I didn't like him that much because I thought he was a 6th or 7th round pick. Hearing that he's an 8th round pick, I love him, actually. I still think he's a solid player, guys. And yeah, Cam Newton is not Tom Brady, but at this point in his career, is his play style going to be kind of the same in the sense that he's not going to be looking for deep bombs all game. He's going to be looking for that guy who constantly gets open, and that's Julian Edelman. He gets open more than anybody, just like CMC puts himself in a position to catch the ball. And I actually I saw this morning reading, I completely spaced that Mohamed Sanu was a Patriot. And I like him a lot. He's like, dude, that guy every year, doesn't matter if he's wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, he always makes an impact. And he becomes fantasy relevant to the point where you can plug him in your flex on bye weeks, and he's going to get you 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 points in PPR. I actually like looking at this, and I think that the Patriots offense might surprise some people with White, Burkhead, Edelman, Sanu, and Harry if he does anything this year. I like this.
Yeah, I think there's a chance Sanu might be his favorite target as wide receivers go. I think there's a chance because doesn't Sanu play in, or Edelman plays in the slot too, but doesn't Sanu play in the slot a lot or no?
Let's look.
Well, in when he was on the Falcons, right? I think he was playing in the slot a lot on the Falcons. So we'll see. I do think, I think James White, Edelman, and Sanu are going to get a lot of targets and a lot of receptions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as much as we always like to talk about the Patriots, their fantasy success is very up and down because of how much they spread the ball. But you bring up really good points, Joe. I mean, I hate to say it as the host of the show, but goodness gracious, I forgot about Mohamed Sanu too, and how many times he won me weeks, like literally 2 or 3 years ago. So he's been relevant. He is relevant, and I think he will be relevant this year. So good thing to mention. Let's move on to the running backs. We've been talking about James White.
Here we go.
And everybody's favorite running back, or should I say Jacob's favorite running back, Sony Michel.
Sony Michel. My ride or die.
We said that we would dive a little bit deeper into it this week. I guess we can start off by saying, who are you taking? James White in the 7th, virtually the 8th round, or Sony Michel in the 10th round? Who do we got?
Well, James White, easies.
I'm still, look, I know I took the over on whatever, I think, what was it? 700 yards and
Sony Michel is going to finish over 900 yards and 7.
Was it 900?
Yeah, that's what he's done the last 2 years, 900.
Oh, damn. I mean, that's even surprising. We've been like talking so much crap about him. Like, I just think it's lower, but I'm still taking James White over him. Especially we all play in PPR, minimum half PPR. If the only way you even think about taking Sony Michel over him is non-PPR. And then okay, but I'm still taking James White all day.
Guys, I hate this backfield. Like, I don't think there's a backfield in the league that I might hate more. Damian Harris was a 3rd round pick as far as fantasy. Damian Harris was a 3rd round pick last year. And he might be coming for Michel's job.
He was the 3rd round pick in real football, right?
Yeah, not in fantasy.
Yeah.
Year, but in real life, he was a 3rd round pick, and
I know, it's crazy.
And Belichick will put you in a doghouse for a fumble, and
exactly,
it could be like Burkhead, like you just never know.
You know what sucks about that is that kind of he probably like doesn't give guys a chance to even have a career because they never play in New England and then they just disappear.
Yeah. Well, I think James White is obviously hands down. He's gonna have a role. He's trusted by.
He's the
And his role, I think, is the most different from the rest of those guys. He's strictly a pass back, where Rex Burkhead kind of does both. And he's had big games where he has a couple of touchdowns, and he could catch the ball and run the ball. I think Harris and Michelle are mostly known as just grinders. They run the ball. So White is obviously the safest one out of all those picks, but I'm not going to be surprised if Sonny Michel loses his job, like Damon says, over something crazy, and Damian Harris is the lead back there and has at least a good 8 weeks over there.
Yeah, I'm not against. I like Damian Harris. I held him as a handcuff a lot last year because I had White and Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
So but you never know with the Pats.
Yeah.
That is true. You never know with the New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Last option here, Cam Newton. We talked about him a little bit. How can you not? He is currently going in the 13th round. Are any of you interested in possibly making him a starter right out of the gate?
No.
That was quick.
No. He's not a starter for fantasy. No, I wouldn't. Come on.
I tried to slide that in there.
Cam Newton, I think we're going to either see a boom or bust season. We don't know how he is after his major injury. We have not seen him back on the field. We don't know if he can play a full season, and we don't know how he's going to do under Belichick's system. So you're definitely not drafting him as your starter, but I love drafting him. Guys, I remember a few years ago, Cam Newton was like unanimous after Brady, after Rodgers. That was Cam Newton. Everybody
he was number one for at least 1 year. He was number one. And honestly, our friend Don took him in the first round, which was obviously ridiculous. But if you think about it, that's what casual fans were thinking of him, that he was worthy of that. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say he had the Mahomes stigma about him, but he was up there as like, you have to have Cam Newton. He's going to win you weeks. And he would win you weeks on the ground.
So bad, so he looks so bad. He throws the ball like 50 yards in the air, like straight up in the air, not down the field.
That is true. Damon brought up his accuracy issues last episode.
I want him to have success, but you're taking him as a backup quarterback, and if he does blow up, you made a great 15th round pick, and if he doesn't, then so what? You drop him by week 3.
That's true, and he's also a pretty good waiver wire option there to start the season.
Yeah.
In the essence of time, folks, we are moving on to probably the team that we need, at least I think, need to spend the least amount of time on, which is the New York Jets.
I'm not drafting.
Boy, oh boy. I mean, we can just run through these options really quick. You have the once great Le'Veon Bell. You have the kissing disease Sam Darnold. You have rising star, yet has never seen a snap because he's always injured, Chris Herndon. And you have probably one of the few wide receiver ones in the NFL that I would have probably 7 or 8 other wide receiver 2s than him, which is Jamison Crowder. I mean, goodness gracious, what do we make of this team, and who is the most appealing option to you fantasy-wise?
It's so anemic.
I mean, I think probably Le'Veon Bell, but not as even. I don't even like him as my second best running back on my team necessarily. No. To be honest, I like him as my flex. And the thing is, people are going to draft him higher than that, so that's people can go ahead and do that. All I'll say is if I didn't choose Gesicki as my best tight end sleeper, I would choose Chris Herndon if he could get on the damn field.
I mean, yeah, the hype train surrounding Chris Herndon was crazy all last year, and yet he never saw the field. So someone there believes that his talent is going to supersede, and he will soon be the rising star that he is hyped up to be.
Dude, Frank Gore, man, he's still playing. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and Frank Gore is there.
Offensive line? Did they draft any offensive linemen?
I mean, honestly, I put about the least amount of effort into this team because
I mean, this is the whole offense right here, but I don't know who is a rookie or not and things like that.
I don't know about
I don't want anybody from this team.
Yeah.
But I do think, let's say if Le'Veon Bell goes down, or they're never going to bench him, but if he goes down, I like LaMichael Perrine as a handcuff for Le'Veon Bell.
I don't even know if I touch a handcuff in this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, Le'Veon Bell is the definition of name value. I mean, perennially one of the greatest running backs of all time over a stretch of 3 years, has dwindled his opportunities into what they are now, which are not good. I just don't see. I wouldn't touch him as my second running back. I'd rather take David Montgomery, and they're both going to see around the same amount of carries. And as horrible as David Montgomery was last year, I'm excited for him in year 2 of a system than I am in year 7 or 8 of now an aging Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Is Flacco going to take over, you guys think?
No.
No. Sam Darnold's their franchise quarterback.
Even if they're stinking it up, you don't think so?
They'll ride Sam Darnold until they draft another quarterback.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they spent too much of a draft capital on Sam Darnold for him to not succeed. So Joe is right. They will run that man into the first overall pick next year.
Yeah. That team is just so bad from a fantasy perspective.
Oh yeah. It really is.
I had Le'Veon Bell in a keeper league, and I was praying that somebody was going to trade for him, and it was so Adam Gase, no, we want Bell, or then you'd hear a report, no, they're looking to trade him, and Bell's okay to get traded, but God, that guy threw his career away leaving Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think that's one of the options the other options we can look at here is Adam Gase. I mean, you have the defensive player Jamal Adams essentially requesting a trade out of New York because he said his coach wasn't a leader. And Adam Gase was a coach in Miami. He was a coach in Buffalo. And I don't know how he keeps finding jobs. Like, I don't think the players respect him. I don't think he's well respected by pretty much anyone.
I think I might be wrong, but he was an offensive coordinator for I think he was for the Colts for sure, but I think he might have been for the Broncos for Peyton also, right? And he's been living off that for the last 5 years, taking teams nowhere.
Taking teams nowhere, but to the first round pick.
It's insane that these guys continue to get jobs when you have better options out there in college.
Joe, I think you're a better coach than Adam Gase.
Hey, guys, this is crazy. Check this out. Le'Veon Bell's ADP is 3.06. That means he's going in the 3rd round.
No way.
Oh, wait. No, that's a 4th round, right? Isn't it? The first pick in the 4th round?
No,
wouldn't it be?
306 is the 6th
pick. 306 is 3rd round.
Yeah.
Okay. So, no way. I'm never.
No.
Never. But, the funny thing is people are going to.
I'd rather draft Kyler
People are
Murray.
going to take him in the 2nd round.
Which is
good
Gabe.
For us.
I know it's a Gabe thing, but I'd like to do this with you guys. Gabe, Melvin Gordon or Le'Veon Bell? Who are you taking?
Oh, Melvin Gordon.
Okay. Demont, Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson?
David Johnson.
Okay. And Jacob, Le'Veon Bell or DeAndre Swift?
Man, you know what's funny? Those first two, I take Bell easy on. Not easy, but I take Bell.
Okay.
Rookie fever, I'm taking Swift because I got rookie fever.
What are you talking about? Carry-on's there.
All those guys.
Hey, Gabe, I'm working on a intro that's gonna have sound bites from the podcast. That's your sound bite. Right there.
Sounds good.
What are you talking about? Carry-on's there. That's your sound bite. There we go.
Joe, those were really good ones, man. I just think I think the Broncos have a good O-line, and I think Lindsey or Gordon is going to have success. It's just kind of gross to think about, but yeah, they're going to be good. David Johnson is going to have the same kind of numbers that Carlos Hyde did, and I think he's going to be able to produce more than Carlos Hyde did, so I would take David Johnson there. And really nothing much has changed for Le'Veon Bell. So I don't like it at all.
And I'm not touching any of these receivers.
No,
honestly.
I tried to do one for Jamison Crowder, a keep trade cut. His 12-round value, and I'm like, okay, fine, we'll do one more to kill the show. Jamison Crowder, Joe, or Mike Williams?
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams is going in the 16th round, virtually undraftable, and you'd rather take an undrafted guy. Jamison Crowder or Preston Williams?
Oh, Preston Williams, hands down.
Yeah, Preston Williams is going in the 15th round. Jamison
Mhm.
Crowder in the 12th. And guess what, Jacob? You don't get one because I couldn't even think of another player. Like I would rather have
No
so
worries,
many
but I
other
agree.
options than
I
this
would I would not take Crowder over those two either.
guy. He had one blow up game last year where he caught like 13 or 14 passes. And it was just like, cool, PPR. He's great. But then that's also why I don't like PPR because I also think he had like, 40 yards on the game. It just,
stupid,
Dude,
what's going
watch
on?
the Jets sign Antonio Brown, and then he's there with Le'Veon Bell again.
And then all of a sudden, actually, kind of crazy. But if Darnold turns it around, that could be kind of a sexy fantasy team. Now, if they have a real wide receiver,
that would help Bell's value.
Bell would help Crowder.
Darnold,
Hey, that's actually a good spot for Brown.
it is, and he'd be reunited with his buddy. So, yeah,
they can just be crazy together with their makeup rap careers and I don't know.
right. Just for the first 8 weeks.
Last question of the day, unrelated. Who's the better rapper, Damian Lillard or Le'Veon Bell?
Marvin
Lillard.
Dame Dollar.
Bagley. I didn't even say him.
It's Dame Dollar all day. Dame Lillard. Look, Damian Lillard's
Dollar.
like the only player who's like a superstar elite player and raps too. Who also raps. I'm not gonna say he's a good rapper, but he's not bad. He's not bad.
His stuff, yeah.
He's decent.
Guys, who's winning this division? Off topic for fantasy, but
Ooh,
on topic for football, who's winning the division?
I'm
Oh
going
my
Buffalo Bills.
goodness, the Patriots.
Patriots somehow, some way.
I'll say the Bills also. I know this isn't fantasy related, but can we book this?
Oh,
I mean, we can. Yeah, we definitely can, but I don't feel comfortable. Like, I'm not too
Sure, why
confident in the
not?
Patriots over the Bills, though. It's
Okay.
tough.
I like
Looking it down. Buffalo Bills
I'll take
win
Patriots
division.
over Buffalo.
Yeah.
What were the Bills were good last year? They had what was their record last year?
10 or 11 wins, I think.
All right, because when we first asked the question, I automatically was thinking Jets, Dolphins, Patriots, and then I was like, okay, Jets and Dolphins aren't doing anything, but I might lean Bills on that. I might lean Bills.
Now's your chance. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm taking Bills.
It makes it no fun. I love when we have fair.
I like
It doesn't
Come
matter
on.
when it's fair.
Yeah.
Jacob, you join us, the smart people. Come on.
But no, I will not be
I'm going-
surprised
I'm going
at all
Patriots.
if the Patriots win
Yeah,
it.
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Patriots pulled it out of their asses to win that
Mhm.
division. I mean, I can't. Like, they're just that good.
They'll find a way.
Guys, this is a
Find a way.
stupid question, but is the NFL expanding the playoffs this upcoming year? Are we going to see that 7 teams, or is it still
Oh,
6?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's 2021.
Oh, is
Or
it?
Maybe
Oh,
I just
maybe.
read it so
Yeah.
much that I kept thinking 2020 was like next year. So it could be. It could be this year.
If they do 7 teams,
Oh, it's for the 2020 season.
Oh,
Expanded its
sweet.
playoff format for 14 teams for the 2020 season.
I think both of them make the playoffs, and the Bills win the division. But the Patriots are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I
Oh, yeah,
think so
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. Well, dang guys, I think we've just about wrapped it up. Any last tidbits of news? I will say one thing before we get off here. I should have put it in the news, but hello, we are now on Spotify. So if you don't like looking at our faces, you can just listen to our beautiful voices on Spotify, and I'll be sure to make that in the news next episode. So
Yeah, we're on
if anyone's still
Spotify.
hanging around.
We're on a couple other podcast platforms as well, but pretty soon we'll be on more also.
More
Guys,
to come.
We live in a world where Joe Rogan gets twice the viewers as us. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that
We're so much better than Joe Rogan.
Oh my goodness.
Can't stand that guy.
Hey, we'll
All
get
right,
there.
folks. I think that's it. Have a good rest of your day, guys.